All right. Welcome, everybody, to Knox Makers. It is Tuesday night, and as tradition dictates, we are going to have our show and share. We have a sign-up list that you could have signed up coming in the door to show off. We have quite the list today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First up is Laurie, who's going to show Spring is Here. Here.
Hi there. I'm not sure if I actually showed this last year. This is a piece that I made last year, but it's mostly an advertisement for this year's Gaudy Gold Frame art exhibit and art show. This is a piece, so basically it's at Broadway Galleries. You can drop off pieces Friday, February 15th or 17th. It costs $10 to put a piece in. You actually can win money, okay? Last year, Susanna won, also Duskin won for Gaudiest Frame. And this piece right here, this beauty, actually won Best in Show. So this is Spring is Here. And so Spring is Here because it's got a spring in here. And then this also is included with, it has our glow-in-the-dark cherub. And then if you push this button, so it is melting. So that is my creature. So just so you know, this can win Best in Show, okay? I'm not sure who the juror is this time, but if this can win Best in Show, anything you guys can make can win Best in Show or win something. But it's a super fun exhibit to be in. It'll be open March 5th for First Friday. And if you guys have any questions, I did post a flyer up, but I think you guys should all try to do something. All right, if you have any questions. What? Oh, stick that under the, oh, the frame? Whoops, I lost my bell.
Now we can see it.
There we go. So I added, so if you notice the eyes and it's melting and there's nice jewels and sequins, you gotta have sequins and glitter and things like that. So, and then the cherub, which we have actually a drawer out there for glow-in-the-dark cherubs, and I got the last one. So that is my piece. Any questions?
And your bell fell off.
And my bell fell off. It'll go right back on though. See? There we go.
How long does it take to make them?
This took me, because I actually made two pieces. The other one sold. I made them, it took me 2 days to make two pieces. The other one is a much larger piece, and it was a monster with arms coming out, and it had, I think, 9 eyes, and it had some leather pieces and things like that. And that one sold. And this one I'm so glad did not sell, because I get to use this for this is not only Christmas decoration, but it goes all the way through spring, okay? So, yes.
I'm scared now.
And you can make something that lights up, Russell. You can, as long as it's in a gold frame. That's all you need to know. All right, thank you.
All right. Next up is Neil, who's going to show us a tensegrity obsession number 3.
This is not a weird kind of tensegrity, but I made a platform here for people who want something to show to get a little bit higher that they don't have to hold it up. Now, on the other hand, this is tensegrity obsession number 3. I've been on this kick about tensegrities and trying to figure out ideas as to other ways that they can be used. And as far as I know, this may be the first tensegrity that uses a Newton's cradle as its base. And it was an interesting challenge. So if you're not familiar with what a tensegrity is, it's something that appears to be two pieces floating, one floating above the other. But there are wires, and it's based on a use of compression and tension to hold it up and create that, that feeling that one piece is separate from the other piece. And most of this is made out of maple and red cherry, and the steel ball bearings and wires. And that's pretty much the simple part of it. Any questions?
How long did that take?
Well, since I was binge watching Sons of Anarchy about the same time I was making this, it was about 2 seasons worth of Sons of Anarchy. Right.
How do you attach the wire to the box, steel box?
That was one of the more difficult parts. I broke 3 carbide drill bits in the process of drilling like 1/8 of an inch of a hole in this ball bearing, just so the wire would have something to get caught into. But I drilled in about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch into the ball bearing, and then wedged it in with the point of a toothpick and topped it off with a little bit of epoxy to keep it from falling out. And the wire itself is nylon coated stainless steel with about 10-pound tension, or 10-pound test on the Newton's cradle, and about another 15-pound tension on the 4 tensegrity cables.
What kind of wire for the tensegrity portion?
That's the 15-pound test nylon coated stainless steel wire. Fishing leader is what it's used for.
How did you get them really so even?
Trial and error. The toughest part on, this is the 3rd tensegrity I've made, and the toughest part I find in making these things is getting the tension on the compression wires to try and get them equal and enough tension on it so that it is floating. And this is probably about 2 sets of wires went into this before I finally got it to balance to exactly where I wanted it. So I'm looking for some way to try and make the tensioning adjustable so I don't have to just tie it and crimp it, but that I'll be able to wind something like a guitar peg type situation. And because I've got a big one now that I'm working on, might as well tease you. Actually, I've got 3 more in the works right now, and one of them will be fairly sizable and very, very complicated. So that will be another couple of months before I finish that one up and get to bring it in. Any questions? That's it. Oh, one more thing. If you never had one of these Newton's cradles, they're incredibly addicting. You got to keep playing with it for the click, 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 click sound.
All right, thank you, Neil, and thank you for the stand on the podium here. All right, next up is, no, this can't be right, Isaac with wood butchery?
Wood something?
Butchery. So, when Jess and I bought our house, we had to buy a fridge, and it turned out the fridge was too big for the fridge hole, because apparently fridges aren't necessarily fridge sized. And so I had to rip out a cabinet so that the fridge could sit where it wanted to be, which is terrible. And so it sat like this in this pathetic state with trim like literally hanging off the ceiling for a long time. And I put the cabinet in the garage, and then I went to talk to Greenhoe and said, you know, I was thinking that maybe I could shorten the cabinet and then it would all fit. And he explained to me carefully why I would never get a good result doing that, and I should really just make a new cabinet and then stain it to match. And so I was totally intimidated, and I have been sulking for years now. And this last weekend, I decided that I would instead play to my own personal strengths, which include wood butchery and disregard of well-intentioned advice. And so what I did was I took it all apart and I cut sections out of each of the pieces so that it would be shorter than it was. I wanted it to be 2 inches shorter, and so I cut these bands out of each piece so that they would be shorter. And maybe you can sort of see there. The doors, I did not cut a band out of the middle because they have this pattern, and I felt like that it would really draw attention to my crime. And so what I did instead was I cut off the top and bottom strip of them, thinking, you know, it's above the fridge, so you're not going to see that, or I'm not. What I did realize when I laid all these things out to make this picture for you was that that band is smaller than all the other bands. And I knew that didn't look right. But the technique I had used for carefully and precisely shortening these boards didn't even involve measuring that thing. And so I'm like, how could I do that wrong? So I took the two pieces and put them together and measured, and it was 10 inches like it was supposed to be. I'm like, this is a deep mystery of the universe. I'll figure this out eventually. So I started gluing it together, as one does. And it went okay for a little while. And eventually I realized what happened with the mysterious piece was that it was, of course, not square. And I had meticulously not tracked it and turned it 90 degrees and cut out a band in the wrong direction. So that particular side has now been segmented into 9 pieces. But I glued them all together because you can't stop me. And so then at some point, you know, I'm gluing this front fascia on, and at this point there's a fair amount of persuasion involved in getting all the pieces back together, but I'm not above that. I got clamps, and I put a lot of glue on it, and so it assumed its correct state as far as I was concerned. And at the end of the day, I got that thing back up on the wall, and, you know. I will tell you that I'm doing myself a favor in showing you this lousy photo, though, because if you were to get up there and look at it, what you'd realize was that when well, maybe not, when I was affixing it to the wall, I kind of lost control of my power tool, and the front of it that I had glued so carefully popped back into 2 pieces. So there's a visible horizontal seam there that tears me up, but it looks better than it did, so I feel like I've gotten away with it.
Next up is Tom, who's going to show us a bug.
Hello. I hope I'm getting better at this. I saw myself on video and I thought, who is that old man, you know? I am old now, but what I want to show you is something I built in 1973. I was experimenting with electronics, and it's sort of a electronic sculpture in the form of a, well, looks more like a housefly than anything. But every component is functional, and I just shaped it into a bug shape. The head is a 555 timer. There's like 4 oscillators, but 2 LEDs per. That head is in a TL5 can, so they don't make those anymore, but it looked round. And there's some tantalum capacitors that look somewhat organic, but anyway, so there's an LED on each leg, and then the eyes, they alternate. That's it. I was getting thrilled about the CMOS technology at the time, and I think it's still going strong. So that's it. I'll show you the.
Has it been flashing for 50 years?
No, actually, I gave it to my parents. I've made 2 of those. I gave it to my parents, and it was in their house, just on a shelf somewhere for a long time. And then my dad sold the house. I got it back, and it was broken. I thought it was broken more than it was, but it was just one wire, a power line going to the head. I'll pass this around. And 1973. I was about 21 or 50 years ago, and it's survived. Yeah, I'm tempted to replace the LEDs with, you know, today's high efficiency, but I don't know. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So anyway, it's just a 9-volt battery here and a switch, etc. Very simple.
Would you put it on the platform? Because until you flashed it, I didn't realize it was 3-dimensional.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
wings and 6 legs.
But it's really cool when the lights turned off.
Yeah, It's really pretty simple, but I've got the original sketches actually that, I don't know, it's literally just scratch. Let's see this one. I don't know if you can, yeah, the head is in pencil, you won't be able to see that. So I don't have anything really completely identified and labeled here. And this is another one. And I think this is the one that I actually built it on because I've got a bunch of solder burns at the bottom of the paper. So, anyway, I mean, this is another, it's not correct, but it was made probably in the 80s and with a very crude computer. What else? Yeah, the second one, my roommate at the time, he saw this and he says, "Can you make me one?" I said, "Oh, sure, yeah." But I didn't realize it would take, 6 to 8 hours or so to put one together. And I don't think he ever appreciated what, time-wise what it was. But anyway, it has survived. It's just kind of remarkable. Is that it?
How do you know it was 73? Did you date the bottom of it or something?
No, I just remember about the same, the time. It might have been 72, but
76 maybe?
no.
I see is dated 75.
It could be. I mean,
Maybe 75, right?
it could be.
I'm
but
just curious.
I know where I was living, and I got married in 75, so I don't know.
Change the IC at some point?
No, and actually I got a socket here that, nobody uses sockets anymore. So it's pretty old. The what is it? 16-pin dip is it's a CD4049, which is a hex inverter, which you probably saw on there. And that T05, I know what you're thinking. Oh, that one, you don't ever see them. I don't think anything's made in a metal can anymore. But anyway, is that it? I'll pass it around.
Thank you, Tom. All right, next up is Randy, who's going to show tops.
So my name's Randy. I just joined the club here, and a couple years ago I got really into making spinning tops, and so I've been going through a bunch of iterations of making toy spinning tops. You guys see those very well? How about without that? There we go. So those are the basic styles that I started with. And then I moved on to, since we all like to do creative things here, 3D printed tops. They look like soccer balls. And they all spin. And then, because you can't just do round tops, we can do triangle ones that also spin. And then we layer up wood. Huh? And this won't show up probably very well, but the bottom of that is a tiny top. And yes, it spins. Inside that bottle? Well, I can pull it out and we can spin it, but I keep it in there, otherwise I'd lose it. And then, trying to get more creative, there's a lady online who does things called walking mushrooms. That's horrible. We'll put it up here. Can you see that? So it's made to look like a walking mushroom. And I took a class with her on making these walking mushrooms, but I wanted my twist on it, so the mushroom cap comes off and it's a spinning top as well. And then about the time I was making that, there's a gentleman who is widely known for doing wood turnings that look like this. So this is all out of one piece, typically on his design. The vase, bowl, and the wing on it. And I decided I wanted to make it into a top as well. So we made it into a box that also spins.
Is that right, Keith?
Huh?
Is that right, Keith?
No, Alan Batty, yeah. It's his style, the winged vases.
That's one piece of wood?
Yes, it started off as one piece of wood. I cut it like a wood-turned box and turned that into a top. But yeah, if you get it lined up just right, which actually I think I came close to, the grains all match in there, so. So, that's what I got. Yes.
When you make those, do you find that some wood is better than others?
Oh, yeah.
Even keeping them up longer?
So for keeping it up longer, the main thing for that is just consistency that I've noticed for the tops, because I've made a lot of tops now, and wood is horrible for actually making tops out of compared to metal, because it's consistent in weight and things like that. So if you get heartwood and sapwood, you get different densities. And so sometimes when I make those, I spin them and they flop all over the place, and I go, I didn't turn a top, I just made decorative firewood. But you know, as long as you're consistent in there, it's pretty. But there are some woods that are like on the tiny tops I do. I got a baby food jar that I've been throwing tiny tops in for a while now, and I think there's like 300 and some in there. And like maples, walnuts, things like that, they turn fine, they look good, they work well. But a lot of the more oily, like some of the cocobolos, some of the rosewoods, things like that, the tighter grain on it, you can do a lot more with the smaller pieces like that. So I've got pieces that are like the size of a grain of rice, and it turns beautifully even at that level. So, but yeah, the grain is always what you're fighting against when you get smaller like that.
When do you turn something the size of a grain of rice?
Honestly, I've got a spindle gouge that I have kind of ground more and more to a point, and it's almost got skew-like qualities to it. So as I turn, I've got a very sharp point at the end of that, and I can get very fine details. There's a wood turner out there, Cindy Drozda, if you've ever watched her, and her finials. If you look at some of her detail gouges, they come to a very, very fine point, and without paying attention to that, I kind of worked my way into where I was able to do that, and it lets you get down into those. Although I stay with a 3/8 inch detail gouge, because the 1/4 inch, there's so much vibration, because I still have to be a ways away from everything else going on out there, that it still lets me get tight into those grains. So, but the wood helps. So,
What sort of lathe do you use?
I've got a Powermatic and a Jet Mini. I turn the tops on either one of them. It just depends on what I'm working on, since they both are variable speed. So I can turn on either one of the lathes. So, and that is not my smallest top. I got one that you almost need a magnifying glass to see, and it does spin. I had witnesses on it. I didn't think it ever would spin. It was too small. So, all right.
Very nice. Next up is Aria, who wants to show off her robot.
And I am not Arya or a robot.
I am Ari, and this is.
Hold on, let's get you a shirt.
Yeah, thank you, Daddy. You're my servant.
Okay, so we got a robot here. Where did we make this robot?
We made it at the Children's Museum.
Yeah, in Knoxville here. We did that today, right? So what's it made out of?
It's made out of cans and spoons, and there's a shirt, and there are,
That's an applesauce top?
yes, and there,
What's that?
there are bottle cups, and
Bottle
there's
caps?
yarn for the hair.
Yarn for the hair, yeah. And how did we get everything stuck together?
With hot glue.
Hot glue. So we stuck all the stuff on here, stuck all the glue on it, and you did some of the glue, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions? Whoa, lots of questions.
You didn't touch the hot glue and burn your fingers, did you?
No.
Oh, good. Safety first.
Does the robot have a name?
Lizzie.
Lizzie? So the robot can do this, and we put trash in here.
Okay. Good thing that did not fall on the floor.
Good one, Dad.
Did Lizzie sign a waiver?
No, she did not. Oh, it's still here. Any other questions?
I may have missed it. What's the hair made out of?
Yarn.
Yarn, okay.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Painted, it looks blue from here, but I can't tell if that's the color they
We colored it with mica.
Yeah, that part there, but we'll show this here. Is that better? Yeah.
It's a little low.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Next up is Dan, who's going to show pens.
Hi, everybody. So I decided after taking the wood turning 102 and 202, thank you, Neil, classes that I wanted to turn pens. And then Neil surprised me with a bag full of pen blanks with 6 different species of wood. And I bought a kit off Amazon with 20 pen kits, or slimline pen kits, and I started turning those, and I finished the last. I was going to give them away to my family for Christmas gifts. I finished the last 4 on Christmas evening. So here are 6 of them that I have left over. I believe I've got walnut and some rosewood, and I think that one's beech and that one's mesquite. Does it look right, Neil? Can you tell? It's hard to tell. Okay. But anyway, I did most of it on the Delta MIDI lathe in the shop, and with a roughing gouge and a spindle gouge. I just found those worked better than anything else I tried, so that's what I stuck with. Mistakes that I made and learned about is don't squeeze it too tightly on the mandrel, because they will crack. But the first one that I cracked was a walnut one, which, by the way, I also learned, make sure your gouges are sharp when you're turning walnut especially, because that caused a lot of issues, and that's part of the reason that they cracked, because I would stop it and it would just cause problems. So I cracked one of those walnuts, and that sounds funny. But anyway, so I did the super glue and walnut sawdust together and filled in the crack and allowed that to dry, sprayed some of the accelerant on it, but allowed that to dry, and then resanded that piece. And when I did that, it actually looked like it was just a thicker line of grain. And I took it home, showed it to my mom, and she was really excited about that one. She says, "That's the one I want." So I gave everyone a chance to pick out a pen, but of course I let my mom pick first. And she said, "Where's the one with the crack?" So I had to find that one. I had another one where, as I was turning it, a big chunk came out. I think that was a cherry one. And when the chunk came out, I super glued it back on. forgetting how super glue kind of will run, and I super glued it to the mandrel. And Billy helped me get that off of there with some heat, and I just had to basically re-sand it a little bit and refinish it, and it turned out fine. It's not one of those, so it got picked as well. And then I had one where I was squeezing again, and I had cut it down so deeply that it was just too thin, and it cracked. And when I tried to cut out the cracked part, it just fell apart on me. So I ended up doing one out of acrylic. And my nephew ended up with that because I chose colors of the college that he went to. But real quickly, so for those of you who haven't made these yet, so you take a pin blank, which is 3/4 inch square by about 5 inches long, cut it down to a little bit longer than the tubes that you drill a hole for the tubes, and then glue the tubes into the holes, and then you put that on a mandrel like you see there. And then, whoops, wrong way. Come back. Okay. Oh, sorry, that's my soundboard at church, which are having issues with. Now I got to get back to that picture. Oh, there. Oop. Okay. So, and then after turning that down, this is a piece of the Bucote, which was very popular with my family. After turning that, and then I sanded it down, and then I did a wet sand using walnut oil to get that. That's why it looks almost like it's finished, but that's actually just before I put the finish on it, and then that's with the finish on it. And I used a Pin Plus finish, I think is what it is. It's a product I bought at Woodcraft, but gave it a really nice sheen. Did about 3 or 4 coats of that on there, and friction finish. They turned out great. Everybody's really happy with the pins that they picked, and I've got a few left over. So I'll pass these around so y'all can look. Yeah.
Moisture level, do you have a preference on the moisture level that you work with for the wood, or?
I did not check that. These were all dried. Neil can tell you how old they are, but I know some of it's quite a bit old because I knew from talking with him he had harvested some of that when he lived in Florida still. So that was the rosewood. Yeah, Neil.
What grid sandpaper did you take it down to?
So the first couple of times I actually went down to 12,000, and then I met Gaston, who's another pin turner that's in our club, and he's been turning pins for 2 or 3 years, and he said I really didn't need to go past 600 or 800 with most species of wood, and so I quit after about 1,000. If I went to 1,000, I would basically fill it and see, but I usually went at least 600 and 800 after that, starting with 150 and then just working my way up. Any other questions? I estimate, I don't know for sure because I just did it all in stages. I estimate that it probably took me around 2 hours per pin. So it was a lot of fun. Yes?
What do you do anything to the metal parts and on the ends? I mean, do you do anything to that on the lathe, or do you try to stay away from that completely? I mean, is there a danger of like getting sandpaper over on it? Is that what
Those are the bushings,
Yeah.
and it just kind of gives you a little bit thicker depth than the brass tubes, and I hit the bushings with my gouges. I hit it with sandpaper, and you can definitely tell when you've worn them quite a bit. But I know, like, when you buy some of those kits from different companies, they actually include bushings in there. So you can buy more of those bushings.
So you take them off and then you put the finished metal parts on?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The bushing is just a guide. Any other questions? Oh, another thing, I didn't get any pictures of it to show you guys. My dad had a pencil kit that he had bought a long time ago and said, hey, can you do something with that? And I let him pick out one of the blanks. He picked the Bacote, and I turned that for him. So he didn't get to pick a pen because he got that pencil. He was very happy with it. But yeah, some of my family was very surprised that I had done this. But, because they knew my dad knew how to turn things on the lathe, but I had not yet. So, like I said, I'll pass these around. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. The last up on the list is Evan, who's going to show a receipt printer.
Hey, so this is a receipt printer that one of my friends gave me who, believe it or not, collects these things for fun. This is like the receipt printer that you see in a store, a grocery store or whatever. And people have fun with these because it's like a little form factor, and it doesn't have any ink. So these are thermal printers, if you didn't know, which means they have a chemical on the paper that's inside. I can show you here. So you've all seen the receipt paper, but this is actually coated with a special thermally sensitive sort of ink. You can think of it as that. And there's a heating element in here. So there's no ink or anything to refill these. You just swap out the paper. So they're also called thermal printers. Anyway, so people have fun collecting these things. You can do kind of cool projects like I've seen people make little DIY Polaroid cameras. They'll stick one of these in a box with some digital camera and a Raspberry Pi. And they'll turn it into a homemade Polaroid printer. But this one is just the printer. I didn't bring anything else in today. So you can do cool stuff like just make little photos. It's got bitmap capabilities, and of course it can do text. You can print out stuff like a shopping list or your tasks, your to-do list for the day. Put on weather reports. I've seen one of my friends every day it prints out a weather report. I tried to get him to send me his code for that, but he didn't get it in time. So anyway, I can show you just a little quick demo. It's surprisingly fast. It kind of just squirts out of there really quick. Is it working? Oh, I didn't plug it in. That's important. Is there an outlet up here?
Yeah.
There's a power strip right there. So the paper that I'm using is a little bit too small for this thing, so I have to kind of keep it at an angle to keep it to the side. Is it working? This may not work. All right, if it doesn't work, you guys can see a demo outside if you're interested, but I don't know why it's not working. I think it's still not going through. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this, but I'll show you guys a demo outside if I can get it working again. Yeah.
If I send you a file, can you print John Dale's face?
Sure, yeah. I can take requests. I can print anything. Yeah.
What interface are you using to talk to print?
So this is just USB connected. They make other modules. There's like serial. There's even some, I don't know what the interface is, but there's like a phone jack on the back. I'm not sure what interface that is.
So little piece of trivia, the largest, and I think only U.S. manufacturer of that special powder ink is in Chattanooga.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've heard that it's kind of bad for it's got some hormone disruptor or something in it. It's like, you generally, this is not, all receipts are like that. So I've heard it's kind of not good to handle them a lot. Like if you're working at a cashier or something, you should wear gloves. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you had trouble finding the paper for it?
It's a little bit, whenever you buy it online, you usually buy it in bulk, so I didn't want to do that. I found some local art store that had it surprisingly. They might, but I think they usually sell them in like four pack or something, which isn't too bad. It's just like 20 or 30 bucks, but I didn't need that much, so. Yeah. Any more questions? Thanks.
Thank you. So that was the end of the list. Sign up. Is there anybody else that wants to show something off? Okay.
So this was a late Christmas present for my kid. He wanted a Minecraft torch, and I said, hey, can I 3D print you one? He's like, yeah. So I got this, and I got it off. I found this is 3D printed. I found the design off Thingiverse, and it's for a. I can't get it out. There's a small flashlight in there, and I had to. I wish I could pull it out, but it's. I had to like pop the front off to get to the lights because I want to replace it. It's an LED flashlight. I want to replace it with flickering LEDs. So I use the desolder tool out there to desolder all the LEDs in there and then replace them with flickering LEDs. And then I used stain markers to stain to make it look woodish and Minecrafty. And I don't know if you can see the flicker. It's not very flickery because the middle LED I couldn't get out without taking the spring off. So the middle LED is original. It's kind of overpowering the flickering ones, but anyway, I guess that's it.
All right, any more? All right, we're going to move on to the next part, which is talk about all the classes that we now have on the calendar that you cannot sign up for because they're sold out. Sorry. We have MIG and TIG and wood turning 102, jewelry soldering, which is a first, right? I think.
No, that'll be our second class.
It'll be the second class?
But I just posted another one I'm going to just keep doing them every 2 weeks.
Okay, great. So the one listed now is sold out, but more to come.
More to come.
All right, and then Learn to Sew and Tormek Sharpening, all sold out. Sorry. We do have 2 classes that still have tickets in January. Wood Turning 202, which I think is has a prerequisite of 100, right? Or 10.
We're talking about that. You can take them out of order, but 101 or 102,
Yeah.
you have to be used someday.
Yeah. So if interested in that, talk to Neil. Also, small repairs with hand sewing, which was a very popular class that we did. There's a few tickets left for that, and that's the 27th of January, so pretty far out there. There are a few events that don't require any tickets. Stitch and Bitch is on the 20th, which is a social event in the Fabric Arts, or the Fiber Arts zone. And then the 23rd is our annual members meeting, which is the one time per year where we are closed to the public and it's members only. We talk about all the things we've done this year, we vote in the next board, and take care of our official business for the year. So I hope that you all will join us for that. I don't know about the filters. Can we get a volunteer to take care of the filters tonight? Yes? Yes, perfect. And I think that is it. If you are new here, you need a tour or you have questions, come see somebody with a red badge. We'll get them answered. Outside of that, we're just going to go hang out in the shop. Sound good? All right.